This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather Ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. I know it's been a while since I've done it on this day, but the rules are I do one for, each day, like of the year that I'm doing. And this is my fourth year of doing Sports Catastrophe, and I did topics on like April 23rd, 24th, like 2 or 3 years. And then, like, I don't do the same thing in back to back years. But anyhow, this is the story of the 2012 NFL Draft, which some people say had the second best quarterback class of all time. Now, the 1983 NFL Draft had 6 quarterbacks be taken, all by AFC teams, and they were all with varying degrees of difficulty. New England taking Tony Eason, who would be okay as the backup for the Pats. Miami taking Dan Marino, who took off like a rocket. Buffalo taking Jim Kelly, their best quarterback of all time. Sorry, Josh Allen. The the Baltimore Colts took John Elway, but he refused to play for Baltimore, so they had to trade him to Denver for Chris Hinton. Um, I would say Mark Wilson, but that can't be right. There were 2 other quarterbacks. I can't think of them. Oh, Todd Blackledge was drafted by Kansas City. I remember that too well. And who else? Can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, this is a story about the 2012 NFL Draft. The Colts were terrible. The Indy Colts were 2-14, the worst team in the NFL, which meant they got the #1 pick. But there was a reason why they sucked. Because Peyton Manning had to go through season-ending neck surgery before the season even started, and the Colts just couldn't find the right magic ingredient. A lot of people were saying that teams would suck for luck, if you will, so that they knew that Andrew Luck from Stanford was going to be the top prospect in the NFL draft. So he did so. Yep, 6 of the 11 quarterbacks selected went to 1 Pro Bowl and all that. Anyway, rare occurrence happened when the Colts had the first and final picks in the draft, and they were both quarterbacks. Chandler Harnage from Illinois was drafted with the final pick and all that. He had a lot of talent and all that. So with Andrew Luck being the #1 pick in the 2012 NFL Draft, he was a junior, making it the 4th straight draft that the #1 pick was not a senior. Anyway, the draft happened. The Colts had the #1 pick, and they picked up Andrew Luck, quarterback from Stanford, who was the best Stanford quarterback since John Elway, which was ironic because, when I talk about the quarterback classes and all that John Elway was in the 83 class, and he was from Stanford and drafted by the Colts. Washington had the #2 pick, and they took this fresh-faced quarterback from Baylor by the name of Robert Griffith III, and he was a very solid draft prospect. Actually, he was the 2011 Heisman Trophy winner, so you can't go wrong with that. There was a massive trade, as St. Louis actually did have the #2 pick, but they traded it to Washington for Washington's first-round pick, which was #6. Washington also forfeited their first-round picks 2013 and 14 to St. Louis just to go #2 and get Griffin III. So anyway, that's what happened, and RG3 was picked by Washington. Cleveland took running back Trent Richardson from Bama. Well, Minnesota had the #3 pick originally, and they traded that to Cleveland for Cleveland's #4 overall pick, who the Vikings used to take Matt Khalil, offensive tackle from USC. Jacksonville took Justin Blackmon from Oklahoma State, a wide receiver, in a pick that they traded from Tampa. And Jacksonville gave Tampa their pick, 7th overall pick. Washington had that pick, but then St. Louis had the pick, but then they traded it to Dallas. So the Cowboys got Morris Claiborne, cornerback from LSU, and Tampa took Mark Barron, safety from Alabama, with the pick that Jacksonville gave him. Ryan Tannehill went 8th overall to Miami from Texas A&M. Luke Kuechly went 9th linebacker from Boston College to Carolina. Stephen Gilmore, cornerback of South Carolina, went to Buffalo number 10. Kansas City took Dontari Poe, a defensive tackle from Memphis 11th. Fletcher Cox went 12th to Philly from Mississippi State, defensive tackle. Michael Floyd, wide receiver Notre Dame, went to Arizona. These were the big picks. Cincy took Drake Kirkpatrick 17th from Bama, cornerback. New England took Chandler Jones, a defensive end from Syracuse, 21st overall. Cleveland took Brandon Weeden from Oklahoma State. Weeden was polished. He was 28 years old when he got drafted. Dante Hightower went to the Patriots 25th overall from Bama. And Doug Martin went 31st to Tampa from Boise State. So anyway, that was the notable first-round picks. Position-wise, at quarterback, I said it was one of the best draft classes around. 4 quarterbacks were drafted in the first round. Luck to the Colts, Griffin III to Washington, Tannehill to Miami, and Brandon Weeden to Cleveland. And how did those 4 picks work out? Well, Brandon Weeden was the weakest of the 4. He only spent a few years with Cleveland and was just basically out of the league. Ryan Tannehill was a very tenacious quarterback for Miami when he had to be with the Dolphins. RG3 was pretty good for Washington, and Washington kind of lucked out, no pun intended, when they got him third, and he actually was the offensive rookie of the year, not Andrew Luck. It was RG3, but then RG3 suffered a postseason injury, which actually ruined his career later on. Although he was serviceable. And Andrew Luck, well, he was the quarterback for the Colts because with Peyton Manning with the neck problems, they thought he was a liability, so they decided to release him. Denver picked up Peyton Manning, and Peyton laughed in Indy's face when he won the 2016 Super Bowl. Despite all that, there were 7 other quarterbacks drafted, not in the first round. Arizona took in the 6th round Ryan Lindley from San Diego State. Green Bay took with the 7th round B.J. Coleman from Chattanooga, and of course Chandler Harnage went to the Colts with the last pick of the draft from Northern Illinois. Washington in the 4th round took Kirk Cousins from Michigan State. Cousins was famous for a famous last-second touchdown to beat Wisconsin on Saturday Night Football. But anyway, Cousins turned out to be the best quarterback Michigan State had since one Earl, the Pearl Morrow. But anyway, Cousins did his job with Washington and Minnesota. And when he's healthy, he's a very good quarterback. When he's hurt, he just hurts the other teams with his lack of presence. Seattle in the 3rd round took Russell Wilson from Wisconsin. And it looked pretty good. Wilson was polished and all that. And he rewarded Seattle. In his 2nd full season, he took Seattle to the Super Bowl, which they won over the Denver Broncos and Peyton Manning. In the 3rd season, they had a chance to repeat as champs, but lost out to the Patriots. So Russell Wilson was Seattle quarterback royalty. Now he's with Pittsburgh after 1 year with Denver. And also Philly took Nick Foles from Arizona. Nick Foles was great when he was a starter. He had injury problems. He came in to the Philly starting job thanks to Carson Wentz being hurt. And Nick Foles not only helped the Eagles win Super Bowl 52 against my Pats, he was named MVP. So he had a good time and all that. Yeah, they had 6 quarterbacks selected to 1 Pro Bowl. Tannehill and Foles had a season which led the NFL passer rating. Foles was named Super Bowl MVP. And Wilson is the most successful quarterback of the draft, making 9 Pro Bowls. So yeah, so it was pretty good. Draft 2012 also had some good talents like Luke Kuechly, Stephen Gilmore, Levante David, Bobby Wagner, T.Y. Hilton, Chandler Jones, and Justin Tucker. Well, Justin Tucker was actually undrafted. But yeah, Justin Tucker kicked for the Ravens, and it looked pretty good. So the 2012 NFL draft was a fantastic draft, and everyone can agree. It was full of quarterbacks. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.